2 of Google Week, Guide Dominating Results with Google AdWords. I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Michelle Letman, and I have Steve here as well to help out by answering any of your questions that you might have today. We are really excited to have Carrie Phipps, who is our AdWords expert and SEM manager here at Surefire. She's got a fantastic presentation for you all, but before we get started, I wanted to ask you one thing. What is one thing that you are looking forward to learning today? Go ahead and write your answer in the question box. If you're looking for it, it's located in the webinar control panel, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. So while you all are trying to do that, I will pass it on over to Carrie. Carrie, take it away.
Michelle, thank you so much. Again, like Michelle said, my name is Carrie. I like to consider myself an AdWords Olympian. Please take a moment to fill out the little chat box. Although it will not be an interactive conversation while I go through the presentation, I'm always happy to answer any questions you may have. So make sure that you can get them in the chat box so we can make sure to address them either at a break or at the end. A little bit about myself. I recently went out to Google's flagship site out in Mountain View for America's Next Top AdWords Champion, where myself and Surefire Local won an award for our campaigns that we run and the types of practices that we employ in order to make sure that we're getting the best results for our clients. I've been working in AdWords for over a decade. I am a Google AdWords specialist, which means that I've passed all the tests for all the different types of product solutions that Google has. And I'm really enthusiastic about the job that I do and helping businesses find the right solutions to meet their business and marketing objectives, essentially. Surefire Local itself is a Google Premier signed partner. That's just a fancy way for saying that we know what success looks like. Being a Google Premier partner, there's like 3 levels, essentially. You can be a Google partner, and there are several thousand of Google partners. Then there's a Google Premier partner, and there are only a couple of hundred to a couple thousand Google Premier partners. And then there's Google Premier signed partner, which is what Surefire Local is. And there are 50 companies in North America who are Google Premier signed partners. So not only do we know what success looks like, we like to share success and help business owners, large, medium, small, or people with an interest in AdWords be successful. And we do that by hosting webinars like this and sharing AdWords tips and AdWords in our marketing philosophy. To keep our Google Premier signed partner status, we have to follow the guidelines that Google gave us, which is to operate fully transparently, both with them and with our clients. We meet the highest quality standards. We provide ongoing training and support for everyone who works at Surefire Local. We have access to the latest and greatest betas before they're rolled out to other folks who are just advertising on their own. We have access to Google staff. We have dedicated Google staff members that work on our accounts with recommendations and optimizations, and now that extends into our local service ads, which we'll talk about a little bit later, as well as they provide strategical and tactical guidance on some of our more complex campaigns. I would say that in my 10 plus years of running ads on Google AdWords, I encounter 3 very common questions from people who are just starting to advertise in AdWords, whether they've never done it before or whether they've been advertising in AdWords, but they don't know how to gauge their success or where to go or what to do. And those 3 would be where to begin, how to begin, and where to grow. And I want to talk through each of those with you today. Let's take off our business hats and our marketing hats for a second, and let's put on our consumer hats, right? Consumer behavior continues to change and evolve, and in turn, the entire customer decision journey continues to change and evolve, and even more so, it continues to build upon itself. Now people can quickly get answers in any moment they want it to, whether they want to know about a particular type of window, or they want to know what's the difference between vinyl siding and wood siding or steel siding, or they want to know the difference between these 2 brands. They want to go. They want to go to a local showroom. They want to go to this store. They want to go to an appointment. They have access to do those things. They want to do. A lot of people consider themselves DIYers, right? They want to follow instructions on how to get something done, or they want to get help in getting something done. They've made the resolve to get something done, whether it's a repair or they want to get an estimate on something, but they want to get it done. And the I want to buy. They see someone with something that they like, they think it's fashionable, they want it. Our phones have really enabled us, and technology has really enabled us to now really fulfill for our own selves those I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, and I want to buy. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, consumer behavior itself is only accelerating thanks to technology. Technology we see on our watches, in our hands, in our homes, with voice search. More and more, all aspects of our lives are powered by mobile and digital. And we love our devices. I mean, mobile adoption just continues to grow. I know that I'm addicted to my phone. Maybe some of you guys are even watching this from your phone. But what we really love is the power our devices give us. And it's that power to get exactly what we want individually, instantly and effortlessly, to have our needs not just met, but anticipated. And that's the next corner of the consumer behavior, right? This anticipation, looking forward in terms of technology and how technology is going to affect the customer journey, which essentially affects the way that you guys will market. We can expect this level of empowerment to only grow as the technology continues to improve and our expectations for getting assistance grow with it. Think about voice assistants. That's probably the newest. It's still in its early days, but it's a great example of how technology is increasingly catering to us as unique individuals. I mean, what's more personal than our own unique voices? I know that I rarely hear two individuals that sound exactly alike. Although sometimes if you get my mother and I on the phone, sometimes they can't tell us apart. But like you can even distinguish an actor or an actress or a friend based on the sound of their voice because it's so unique. And this voice assistance is serving us seamlessly in daily life, from searching on your phone with your voice to some of the home speakers that Amazon puts out or even Google puts out. And take that under consideration with almost 70% of requests for voice assistants are expressed in natural language, not the typical keywords that people sit down on their computer and type into web search. So putting our business or marketing hats back on, what does that mean for you in the age of assistance, in the age of technology, and the continuing rising and dominance of mobile? AdWords has a ton of solutions for you, essentially, right? The first option under the AdWords umbrella are these expanded text ads for search. It's the two blue bars with the green bars under it and then the gray bar. These ads appear on Google.com. They appear on computer, tablet, and mobile. It is a search network campaign, and the type of ad is called an expanded text ad. These ads are shown when people are specifically searching for you or your product or service, right? It's when someone goes to google.com on their phone or on their computer, these are the ads that they see. These are really lead generation campaigns because, again, you're going to be where people are looking for you. There are other options on the Google Display Network that are display ads of varying sizes. You can see the orange and red and green ads on the computer, tablet, and mobile that are varying sizes. Those are display ads, and they appear on the Google Display Network, which is not the Google Search Network. That one was for the ETAs, the first one we talked about. Here you can target people by interest or by remarketing, what they may be interested in getting. And these types of ad solutions are geared more towards branding, and they can assist in lead generation, but it's secondary to lead generation. Another solution they have, YouTube, second most popular search engine on the planet next to Google is YouTube. Maybe some of you guys have already been to YouTube today. I know I've watched a few videos and a few trailers on YouTube today, and we all are familiar with those ads that appear, those 5-second ads that you can't skip, and then those longer ads that after 5 or 6 seconds give you a button to skip. These video ads typically appear only on YouTube, not on the display network or the search network. You can target by interest or remarketing, so you have an ability to hone them in. And again, they can be used for branding and lead generation. So with all of these options, and this is a high-level overview of the options that you have when advertising with Google AdWords. Where do you start with all of these options, with the customer journey, having multiple touch points and being able to engage with people in multiple micro moments and on multiple platforms? What does this mean for you as a business? How do you start? Where do you begin? And the simple answer for me is that you start with your business goals. That has to provide the starting point and the basis for what you want to get out of your marketing efforts, specifically when it comes to spending money on AdWords. And the three big buckets that I mainly talk to people about, or that I hear from people about, especially in the home service industry, is that they either want visibility, i.e. they want to take up a space and they want to be as visible as their competitors, or they're trying to build a name for them. They're breaking into a new market. They want traffic to their site, or they want traffic to their showroom. They're trying to increase their visitorship. They want to grow a remarketing list. Or if you're like 98% of our home service providers that we manage AdWords for, your goal is leads, right? If it is lead generation, if you are part of that 98%, now that you have your goal, how do you define what that success looks like? Whether it's traffic or visibility or leads, well, then you work forward. What solution should I have? And speaking specifically about leads, since I think the majority of people are probably looking to advertise on AdWords for leads, you have to remember that success is an illusion if you can't measure it. So you need to define what success looks like. What does it mean to be a lead? And how is your campaign going to deliver leads? And how are you going to measure it? So for Surefire Local, we define leads as things like phone calls. You can use Google's tracking and count it as a conversion for phone tracking, or take it a step further, get a dedicated phone number for PPC, meaning that it would be separate from your main line. The best option, and what we do at Surefire Local, is get a dedicated phone number for your AdWords account with call recording to check the quality of your leads. That way you can see quantity of calls coming in, but you can also listen to the quality of the calls generated by your AdWords campaign. We also measure leads in terms of form fills. If you have a request estimate or contact us or schedule an appointment, any form fill on your site, you want to make sure that you have tracking tags or it's integrated with your CRM that can expressly say that this form fill came from your AdWords campaign. Again, because you want to have clarity, I should say, around what did I spend and what did I get. There will be nothing more frustrating than feeling like you don't know what you have just spent your money on. So take the time to make sure that it's set up that you can track its success and optimize against that, because that's really what you want to optimize against. Now, once you've decided where to begin, you have to figure out where to begin. And I have one thing that I really want you to take away, if you take away nothing else from anything that I say today, is relevancy is rewarded. Whether you are running AdWords campaigns in-house or whether you have an agency running your AdWords campaigns, relevancy is rewarded. Google is in the space that it is the number one search engine because it caters to the user. We go there as consumers because we feel and we rely upon Google delivering exactly what we are looking for in that space, not just what an advertiser wants to show us. So throughout your whole AdWords campaign, you want to make sure that the keyword that you're bidding on is relevant to the ad copy that you're showing them. So if you're a siding company and you do siding and roofing, you don't want to just show them, if the keyword that you're bidding on is siding repair, let's say, you don't want to show them an ad that says, siding and roof repair. You want to talk only about siding. And then you want to send them to a page not about siding and roofing, and definitely not about roofing. You want to send them to a page about siding, keeping that relevancy. It helps the consumer feel like the search was tailored for them. And the reward comes through in terms of AdWords and being rewarded for your relevancy with lower cost per clicks and higher ad position. That's how that plays out. Now, remember, relevancy is rewarded. That's number one takeaway. I have 8 other mandatory steps for a lead generation campaign, and we're going to talk through all of these. Step 1, translate what you do into how people search. Most of the clients that I work with in the home service industries are experts in their field, and they've been doing this for a number of years. And so they understand the technical aspects of the product or service that they provide, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the homeowner. I don't really know the difference between asphalt shingles or metal shingles. I'm not going to be able to decipher that, especially in a search, when I'm looking for someone to come out and give me an estimate on my roof. So you have to be able to translate what you do into how people might look for you. So getting out of the technical space and making sure that you're targeting how, I don't want to say layman people, but people not in your industry, people who are just homeowners looking for that product or service. Translate that into how people search, because that's how people are going to be looking for you. Later on in the campaign, once you've maximized your, we'll talk about this in a second, search impression share, but once you've maximized your coverage for how people search in their native tongue, think back to voice assistants, right? We talked a little bit about that, how in voice search, people are using their native tongue, not how they type on the keyboard. We want, as soon as we've maxed that out, then you can layer in some more of the more technical terms so that you're capturing that traffic too. Number 2, create tightly relevant ad groups with keywords and ads that match. I spoke briefly about it on the relevancy is rewarded, but again, in this instance, I have a roofing company that also does windows, and they want to run, they want to generate leads for both of them. Well, if they want leads for both of them, then in my account, I'm going to set up 2 different campaigns for them. I'm going to have a roofing campaign and I'm going to have a windows campaign. And under the roofing campaign, I'm going to have only ad groups that talk about roofing, and I'm only going to have ads that talk about roofing, and I'm only going to point those ads at pages that talk about roofing. And if those pages don't exist, then I'm going to talk to the client about making sure that those pages exist, because again, we want to keep that relevancy thread through there. It creates a better user experience, which will lead to higher conversions. And again, you will be rewarded in terms of AdWords for higher position and lower cost per click. And I'm going to replicate that on the Windows side as well, because we want to keep that relevancy there, both from a consumer standpoint and interacting with the ad and then ultimately the website, and from a function standpoint, from a performance of the campaign standpoint. So again, tightly relevant ad groups with keywords and ads that match. Now, I have a few more steps to get into, but I'm going to hand it over to Michelle so I can take a quick drink of my Mountain Dew.
Thank you, Carrie. So while Carrie takes a sip of that Mountain Dew, I wanted to jump in here and ask what you've learned so far, and if you have any questions for Carrie, you can go ahead and put them in the question box. As you can already see, there's a lot you can do with AdWords, but sometimes it's important to hire an expert for help. So if you're wondering how partnering with an expert like Surefire Local can help you perfect your online presence and make sure your digital marketing is working hard as you do, we're offering one-on-one calls with our digital marketing experts so that you can get advice on your unique situation. As you can see, Steve just launched the poll. We're scheduling these calls for next week on Tuesday and Thursday. You can pick a time. If neither of those days work for you, just select please email me to pick a time and we will help pick out the best time that works for you. So take a second here to answer that, and then we will let Carrie get on with her presentation.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're very welcome. I hope that Mountain Dew was quench your thirst.
It's refreshing. It is refreshing. Always refreshing. I hope there are some Mountain Dew fans out there.
Alrighty, Carrie, back to you.
Thanks. So going back to step 3, we want to be mindful of keyword match type. And again, all of these steps are whether you're running your own AdWords campaign in-house. Remember, first of all, that AdWords was designed as a platform where a business owner, or like yourself or someone like you, could run their own AdWords, could advertise for themselves on the largest search engine. However, there are a lot of knobs and buttons and things like that in order to make sure the campaign is really firing on all cylinders. And whether you're doing it in-house or you have an agency, you want to look at all 8 steps to make sure that whomever's running it are following these. Being mindful of keyword match types, it's extremely important. You may not know, it's my job to know these types of things, but there are over 1 billion searches per month. That's worldwide. That's not just unique to the United States. But 15% of the daily queries, the daily searches, Google's never seen before. So they're unique combinations. That's like someone putting in butterfly Mountain Dew fork. Like, who would ever search that? But people are doing it because they're 15% of daily searches. People have never searched before. It's a unique string. In that In that vein, it is impossible to try to bid on all keywords in the way that people may search for it, may search for the product or service that you may provide. So you want to use keyword match types to achieve the type of traffic and leads that you're trying to get. Now, there are really 5 keyword match types. I'm going to talk about 3 of them. The 2 that I've left out are modified broad, which it's a little more advanced, and most people don't use it. And then the last one that isn't mentioned here is a negative match type, and that is to make sure that you are cutting down waste. And I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. But for keyword match types, for what you're trying to bid on to get traffic for, exact match is going to be exactly what it sounds like. In this example, you'll see the brackets, local roofer. That means that my ad is going to show for people who look for, in the Google search box, on their phone or on their computer, local roofer, roofers local, local roofers, there's the plural, a local roofer. What it won't show for if someone searches find local roofer or local roofers near me, because Google is saying, nope, I'm only going to show your ad when someone searches what's between those brackets, or if it's a common misspelling, if it's a plural of something between the brackets like roofer or roofers, or if it's just transposed like roofers local, they'll show your ad for that exact match. But if there's anything else in the search box that someone searches outside of the brackets that aren't a common misspelling, a singular to plural form, or stemmings that would include like an ing, like they would also give your ad would show for local roofing as well. They're not going to show the ad. So that is the most narrow match type that you're going to have because it's the most specific. The next match type is phrase match type. And with phrase match type, your ad can appear when people search for your exact phrase, even if there's other things that they enter. So again, ads would show for a phrase match of gutter installation. Again, notice the quotes instead of the brackets here. If someone searched local gutter installation pro, because there's my phrase. Best gutter installation company, again, gutter installation is there, and gutter installation costs. Again, gutter installation is the core there. That's the phrase that it matched. What it won't show for is if someone put in gutters need installation or installation for my gutters, because there are words that break up the phrase that I've defined that I want to target. So ads won't show for that. I like phrase match for a lot of reasons, especially in the home service industry, because you're being very specific about the product or service, but you're trying to give Google the ability to show your ad so that you don't have to try to create keyword lists, that are a couple hundred or a couple, several hundred words long, trying to account for all the different type of variants, the way that people might search for your product or service. Broad match is the default for AdWords, and that it's exactly like it sounds. It is the most broad. So in this example, we have Windows. So your ad would show for a search like Microsoft Windows, install Windows on computer, or window complaints. You can easily see how this can become hard to control in terms of relevancy and making sure that you're getting the right type of traffic that will convert into the types of leads that you want. Instances where your ad wouldn't show for broad match, it's going to show. Broad match is very robust. And so you want to be mindful when you're using these match types, because this is going to help hone your campaign and make sure that you're getting the right kind of lead generation traffic that you want. Now, you can pair this with negative keyword lists and targeting exclusions. When I conduct a kickoff call here at Surefire Local, one of the most important things that I spend time on with the clients, every client that I speak to or that the PPC team here speaks to, is talking about where the client doesn't want to advertise that is within where they want to, i.e., let's say that most of my clients are service area based. They tell me I want to target these counties, or I want to target these zip codes, or I want to target this 45-mile radius around this specific zip code or city. Great. In that radius or in that county, where don't you want to show up? Is there any place that you don't because there's too much saturation there, competition's too high, not receptive to your product or service? You're not licensed in those cities, like at a county level or a radius level. I can't do business there. We want to cut waste down at the beginning. So if you're not If you can't show ads somewhere or you don't want to show ads somewhere, make sure that they're on your keyword targeting exclusions, so we're not spending any money there. Negative keyword lists, going back to that match type, even with phrase match, even exact match, always have negative keywords. That way you're saying, nope, these are irrelevant to me. I don't even want to show if this word is included in the query. And that allows Google, again, to more smartly spend your budget that you allocate. Classic example would be when I'm talking to roofers, I ask, what type of roofing do you do? Great. What type of roofing don't you do? Do you not do asphalt shingles? Do you not do metal roofing? If you're a window company, do you provide fiberglass or vinyl or wood? If you're siding, is it vinyl siding, metal, cedar, wood? So you get into the devil in the details, and what you don't do, we can absolutely, or whomever is managing your campaigns should absolutely exclude to make sure that you're not spending any money on that. And you should do that at the beginning. If you haven't done it and you're already running AdWords and you haven't done that, take a time to do that exercise. Next step would be relating back to making sure that you can track everything, because success is an illusion if you can't measure it. Ensure the conversion tracking is set up and recording. Here at Surefire Local, we use analytics. AdWords and analytics, it's like a love story. They are both Google properties and they communicate very effectively with each other, potentially more effectively than most relationships, because once you link them, they're linked for life, and they like to talk to each other and give you that insight to how the campaign is performing and what people who are sent to your website from your AdWords campaign, what they're doing when they get there. That's easy to identify. Oh, here's where they're bailing out. I need to maybe improve this, maybe check the content here. So again, this relates back to success being an illusion if you can't measure it. If you don't have analytics, you should think about getting some. If you do have analytics and it's not linked to your AdWords campaign, make sure you do that. Or find another third-party analytics software that you're comfortable with. Analytics is free. Other third-party software tends not to be. But again, you want that clarity because you need to be able to answer, what did I spend and what did I get? Next, you want to make sure that you enable all relevant ad extensions. So in addition to that ad that you create in AdWords that has to be relevant, Google has at least 6 ad extensions which show under your ad on both desktop, laptop, and mobile devices, even tablets as well. And they show these ad extensions to try to make you, surprise, surprise, more relevant to the user. They show them based on what they think will resonate and will respond better with the user in the query that they've entered. Going around, I always thought that this graphic kind of looked like a peacock. So you can see there's a text ad in the middle. Telephone, that's a call extension. If you're running a campaign and your business goal is lead generation, make sure you have a call extension. This is the number that shows under your ad. Again, I recommend a dedicated line with call recording. If not, then maybe just a dedicated line. If neither of those, then at least turn on call conversions in AdWords, because then at least that will show you this many calls came from the ad itself. The next are links, site links. So if you're sending traffic to your website, you also direct, maybe you've seen an ad that has 2, 3, or 4 links right under it. You can direct people to other parts of your page. I like to use these to point people to finance pages or galleries or contact us, things that support the campaign that I'm running and information that might be relevant to the user. You can also show a location. I get it. Most home service industry folks who are looking to run AdWords campaigns don't have a physical location like a showroom. However, showing an address localizes you. That does a lot in terms of competing, especially if in your crowded market space that has national advertisers. Being able to show that you're local by displaying an address, I've seen has positive effects on boosting campaign performance. The tag that you see there, that's pricing extensions. So if you are able to price out, citing projects from this or windows installed from this, you can spell out that price. You have to have 3 showing. For the clients that have been able to use it, it's been extremely effective. It does 2 things. Again, you're giving information right up front to the user, allowing them to make a more informed informed decision before they click. And if they don't like your prices up front, I know there's a hesitancy, maybe they won't be enticed to click the ad. It saves your budget, because if someone is not interested in it, then they're not spending your budget by clicking your ad and then getting to the information later. The SMS is texting. Google has a specific text function, again, trying to make it easier for the users or consumers to speak with you. A lot of people text nowadays. I probably send, I don't know, upwards of 15 texts a day. And so I like to communicate via text, and they understand that. And so they have an ad extension specific to text. If people don't want to call you or don't want to send you an email or don't want to fill out a form, you can communicate with them via text. The megaphone is a promotion extension. If you're running a percentage off of labor or off of a particular product, you can highlight that and draw attention to it as a way to entice people to click your ad. All of these things take up real estate on the page, which makes your ad more prominent and gives you more space on the page, which is very important in terms of consumer behavior and looking to validate that this is a reputable company. So enable all relevant ad extensions. Next two are really maintenance. If you have a current account, or if you're going to run or you have run and you want to look at past performance, you want to check your search term report. In this campaign, you can see step one, this is the new interface. If you have the old interface, I didn't do a screen cap of that, but this is, a lot of you probably are working within this interface. From the left-hand side, you want to choose the campaign you want to look at. In this instance, I'm looking at SFL Windows. You want to go to the next nav bar over on the right, which is the gray nav bar, to the keyword section. From there, you want to go to the search term report. You'll see that little drop down. And fourth, you want to check the date range to make sure you're looking at the right date range. The search term report is different from search keywords. The keywords are what or whomever's running your campaign is actively bidding on in order to generate traffic for you. The search term report is exactly what people search in Google to trigger your ad. This will help tell you if you have if your ad is triggering for searches that you either don't want or are unrelated to you. We audit these on a monthly basis, and we send them to our clients to audit as well, because it will help you cut down waste by adding to your negative keyword list. Sometimes what you'll see is you'll also see search terms that are performing very well that you may not have in your keyword list, and you can add them to your campaign as well. Again, want to look at the performance of the campaign, at least at the search term report, to make sure that it's performing well and you don't have any waste. Lastly, the 8th step is to monitor and optimize on search impression share, right? So looking at only your search campaigns, that's step 1. You want to go next nav bar, select campaigns. Then you want to click step 3. You'll see these 3 bars, these little gray bars. Click those. It's going to pop up this modify columns for campaigns. You're going to go to competitive metrics and click search impression lost or search lost IS budget and search impression share. And then again, 5th, you're going to look at the date range. Search impression share is extremely important. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is your percentage of search impression based on the keywords you're searching for and the geo-targeting that you have for your campaigns. Google recognizes that if you have 70% SIS or search impression share, you're running a pretty well optimized campaign. You're getting the lion's share, again, expressed out of 100%, the lion's share of the search volume in your area. If you have less than that, if you are getting 25, 30, 40, maybe even 50% search impression share, then you need to think that you are missing out on traffic, people in your area that you're targeting for exactly the keywords you're looking for, either because you are missing your budget, you don't have enough budget to support it, so you might want to think about upping your budget. You might want to think about modifying the hours that you're showing. So optimize against search impression share. When people ask me about adding more budget or diversifying their solutions on AdWords, that's essentially the next part, when to grow. I tell them, take a look here. And if you have 70% or more, really in the 80% search impression share across your search campaigns, whether you have just windows or if you have windows and roofing or whatever products or services, if you have more than 70% search impression share, that's when you should look to diversify and grow your solution marketing from AdWords. If you don't have that for search impression share, then you really want to think about putting more money into your search campaign because you're missing out on the lead generation campaign. You're missing out on that search impression traffic. But if you've hit that, then it's time to diversify. First thing, easiest thing to do would be look at a remarketing campaign. This keeps your business and brand in front of people who have already been to your website. Now, it's important to note here that for remarketing, you'd have to have analytics and AdWords linked. Once it's linked, enabling remarketing is as simple as pressing a button. And I mean that literally. It's in Google Analytics, and it asks you if you want to enable remarketing. Then in AdWords, you can create a campaign that will run on the display network. We talked about that way earlier, which is not the search network, which is what we've been talking about for the past couple of slides. And then what you'll do is everyone who comes to the site who's on the remarketing list, there's a little cookie embedded in their browser so that you can find them, or actually the campaign can find them when they're out on the web doing their own thing. So like searching Expedia or looking up news on ESPN, or they're on, NewYorkTimes.com or Boston.com. When there are other places on the web, if they've been to your site before, we can show your ad to them again to keep your brand top of mind. And what we see is it has a twofold effect. One, it's good for brand recall and brand recognition. And two, we're re-engaging people who have already shown an interest and have already been to your site to try to recapture that lead. And typically, remarketing clicks are much cheaper than search clicks. They range in the area of, I want to say 75 cents to up to like $1.75. So remarketing can be very effective, very cost effective, and it's a great way to keep your brand front of mind. You could look to diversify and go and run a display campaign. It's run on the same network that a remarketing campaign is run on, the display campaign, but it's different from a remarketing campaign because now we're not targeting just people who have been to your site before, but we're targeting new people who have never been to your site but may have an interest in your product or service based on their search history. And Google does the hard work by setting up these audiences based on past interests, past browsing history, things like that. The display network is pretty robust. It has a 94% reach, meaning that 94% of users who are on their desktop see or ads from the Google Display Network or are on websites that are on the Google Display Network. It has an 82.7% reach in mobile. Same metrics apply there. And lastly, it has a 94.5% reach in multi-platform, meaning across devices, whether it's on desktop or laptop, tablet, or mobile. So people are looking at display network websites. I don't want to say all day, every day, but they're exposed to it, which means there's a lot of eyeballs that can be on your brand and on your product and on your service. This typically works in complement to a lead generation campaign. And I talk to my clients about running display campaigns where you're looking for new people, not when they come to Google when they feel like they need you or they're ready to do their own research, but you're trying to move up the funnel and target people who may have an interest based on past browsing history and expose them to your brand so that when they get further down the funnel to finally get that quote on siding or roofing or windows or gutters or whatever it is, they have that brand recall when they finally search in Google, gutter installation, and they see your ad pop up and they can click your ad. Again, on the Google Display Network, costs are really very effective and relatively inexpensive. Another option is YouTube. We talked about that earlier. TrueView is proven to provide the best opportunity to increase your revenue. This is in relation to folks who may be spending traditional money on TV advertising. On mobile alone, YouTube reaches more 18 to 49-year-olds than I think any cable network in the US. And the average viewing session on a mobile device is more than 40 minutes. And as you can imagine, in today's mobile first world, YouTube brings video from prime time to all the time. I know that I'm watching videos, whenever I get a chance, especially if there's a trailer. So if you are spending money or thinking about spending money in TV or traditional media like that, something to consider is that TrueView generates up to 7 times as much revenue per $1 spent as TV. And again, there are well-defined audiences, much like in TV marketing. Videos are very engaging. And now Google even has something called YouTube Director on-site. A lot of companies shy away from advertising on YouTube because they don't have video assets. YouTube Director on-site actually gets a professional videographer out to your location to shoot a professional 30-second video that you can advertise on YouTube that you then own. And and it's for free to shoot the video. The only requirement is that you spend $350 in advertising on YouTube, which is very, very cost effective, and you reap the benefit of that advertising because they'll even give you a consultation with an YouTube ads specialist. So again, a fun way to diversify your solutions and work further up the funnel is to consider adding YouTube, either bumper ads or TrueView ads. Lastly, we're going to get into local service ads, which is a brand new ad. Some of you may already be aware of them. They're rolling out. I think they're in 30 DMAs. They plan to be in 90 by year's end, and really they're billed as find customers when they need you the most. So here for this search for plumber in San Diego, you can see Joe's Plumbing, Black Shark Plumbing, and Valley Ridge Plumbing, and they all have that Google guaranteed badge. And then under it, you see 24-hour plumber San Diego, no call out charge, pm247.com. That is an expanded text ad. And so you can see that local service ads are appearing above traditional lead generation search campaign ads. All of this is just Google trying to be as relevant and helpful to the user as possible. I did this search not too long ago for a plumber, Fairfax, Virginia, and you can see here on desktop, it says 30 plus plumbers serving Fairfax, and the 3 top ones are Google guaranteed. What does that mean to be Google guaranteed? That little green badge. And let me tell you, consumers are taking note of that. Essentially, what that means is, unlike AdWords, you can start an account, put together a campaign, put together ad groups, throw in some keywords, put an ad or two out there, enter your billing information, and get running. With Google, with local service ads, to get the Google guarantee, you have to go through a background check. You have to go through an application. As you can see in the little blurb, the Pro is backed by Google guarantee, which means they're pre-screened, insured, and meet relevant licensing requirements. Any job you book when the time with them, is guaranteed to be done right, or your money back. So it's an application that you have to go through, and the field workers have to go through a Pinkerton background check. The application itself is absolutely free. In the markets where they've already rolled this out, we have some local service ad clients already up. The return has been phenomenal. Unlike AdWords, where we're talking about cost per click and how do I get to my CPL, what is this costing me, what did I spend and what did I get, local service ads move the conversation specifically into a cost per lead. You only pay for leads that you get, which simplifies the advertising and makes it easier for you, the business owner, to understand what did I spend and what did I get. It's a brand new product. As a premier partner, where we have a unique relationship with Google to be in a position to help clients get through the process, since Google is still working on it and defining it. And we have seen tremendous impact and results with these local service ads. So definitely keep this front of mind. There are more verticals rolling out and more geographies rolling out, and this is something that you'll definitely want to take advantage of if it rolls into your market. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle. I appreciate all the time, and hopefully I kept it engaging for you guys.
Thank you so much, Carrie. So before we move on to the Q&A, I'd like to offer you one more opportunity to have a one-on-one call for an expert analysis of your current digital marketing situation. Please take a second to answer the poll. It's now open. We're scheduling calls for next week on Tuesday and Thursday, or you can choose to have us email you if neither of those times work for you. And after you successfully complete the call, we will be giving out Google Chromecast. And also, while you guys are answering or filling out that, I do want to mention that if you attend all 4 webinars, and you will see this on the next page, you will be put into the drawing for winning our grand prize, which consists of 1 Google Home, 1 Google Chromecast, a free copy of Mark G. Richardson's book, Control Your Day Before It Controls You, The 7 Steps to Time Mastery, a free website worth up to $3,000, and a $300 towards Google AdWords if you sign up for a marketing package, which is awesome. So we hope to see you guys tomorrow and Friday. So actually, while people are answering that, we can get on with some of the questions. So Rachel wanted to know, do you all have consumer data that indicates how many people are clicking ads versus organic results? I know in the past people skipped ads. Is that changing?
Yeah, so we do have access to some consumer data that if you do a consultation, we could potentially walk through that with you. But I can tell you for the campaigns that we're running right now for Surefire Local, there are a ton of people who still click on ads, and it's not just people trying to bait and get rid of the ads. It's actual lead generation. Google has a very stringent process. Back in the early days of AdWords, there was a lot of skepticism around who was allowed to advertise there. Maybe you'd click them and get malware or a virus. There are real stringent guidelines for running campaigns right now, even down to punctuality. Like I can't put no one can put an exclamation mark in a headline. And that, I don't want to say prejudice, but that bias that people no longer click on ads, I don't see it existing in actuality, because there's a lot of traffic and a lot of interaction on ads all over the United States. We run ads, I want to say, in almost every state and some in Canada.
Great. The next actually answers someone else's question. They were wondering, Nikki was wondering if Google Guarantee is available in Canada.
So the local service ads, that's the name of the program. It was just rolled out internationally, and I want to say it's only in the Toronto area, and it's for 5 core services, which would be plumbing, HVAC, garage door, electrician, and I'm forgetting the 5th one, but it's only in the Toronto market right now. The local service ads is about to come out of its second phase of piloting, which at that point I think they're reevaluating rolling into other Canadian markets. I have not seen an updated communication document from Google about what the expansion further into Canada looks like, but I do know they're already in Toronto. I have not yet seen an instance where they have rolled back plans as they have outlined them. So I imagine that there's going to be a larger push into Canada. And again, as we're premier partners, we're one of the first to know when those expansions are happening, and we actually have the ability to get people signed up in a pilot phase well before anyone else gets signed up.
Great. All right. I hope that answered your question, Nikki. And she actually also had one other question. Why is it best to wait to remarket and use the display market? Is it a good idea to start with these options to get our name out there?
So if your goal is branding to get your name out there, and not lead generate, again, that goes back to like what your overall business objective is. If you're trying to get your name out there as well as generate some leads, then yeah, absolutely start remarketing from the beginning. Keep your brand top of mind. Usually when I talk to clients, there's not it's not wrong to start remarketing immediately once you start your search campaign. Most clients I work with have budget constraints, and they have to be conscientious about their budget. And that's usually when we have the conversation, well, what is more important, getting leads or getting your name out there, or branding? I would say majority of the time it's going to be leads. And if it's leads, then my professional recommendation is to put the money towards the search, the lead generation campaigns, because that's where we're going to see the return on investment, because that is the lead generation vehicle, versus remarketing, which assists in lead generation. It's not as direct as advertising on the search network.
All right. The next question we have is, how can Google guarantee satisfaction with the local service ads?
So that's why it's an application process. They vet you. It's not a very long application, but you have to submit insurance information. You have to get a review. The business owners and the field workers, whoever's going to be going in and doing the work, they have to go through background checks. And only when Google approves you, that's when they're giving you the Google Guarantee badge. We have not yet seen anyone that we've helped get denied, although I do know that some folks have applied and have been denied. So you're not automatically in the local service ads unless you apply and get through their background check process.
Great. Okay. Then Lauren wants to know, on a display ad that is already running, where can I find the option to cap frequency?
That's an extremely specific question, but from memory, since I'm not in AdWords right now, if you click on your display campaigns, and you're going to want to go to settings, And depending on what interface you're in, if you're in the new Bravo interface, which is more black, or if you're in the old interface, which is more gray, you're going to want to go to advanced options. And when you go to advanced options, you should see one little line that says frequency capping, and you can choose by ad group or by campaign, and then you would enter the frequency cap number in there. But I think it's great that you already know about frequency capping, and you should definitely put in a cap there because people don't want to feel like you're just following them around.
Great. Good answer. Okay, and then the last question that we have from Emily, how do I specify what match type I am looking to do?
Sure. So there's a couple ways. So if you put a word or a phrase within the brackets, that's going to be exact match. So sometimes Google gives you like a text box, and if you put, in between brackets, local roofer, that's going to be exact match. If you put local roofer in quotations, that's going to be phrased match. If you don't put in anything, if you just write local roofer, it will match it as broad match. If you're actually on the keyword page, you can enable the column that says match type, and it'll show you which match type it is. And then on each individual keyword, you can change the match type. It's a little drop down, and it'll say broad, phrase, or exact. And that's how you can change that.
Great. All right. Well, those are all of our questions. Thank you, everyone, for sending those in, and thank you, Carrie, for answering those. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. We hope you learned something new, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 3 of Google Week, or for any of our future webinars. You can check out what's coming up next on our website. There's a link at the top of our homepage. And also, please take a minute to fill out the survey at the end and let us know how we did today and what topics you would like to hear about in the future. We love checking out those topics you suggest when we plan our webinar schedule. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michelle.